Winston Churchill once said that success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. Churchill led Britain through one of its darkest periods, with enemies threatening to advance across the English Channel, bombing London daily. The pressure to survive was paramount. Churchill, like any entrepreneur worth their salt, understood that failure was part of the process. One learned from their mistakes, and the greatest lesson was that there was always another day to fight on. Phil Knight quoted that play by the rules, but be ferocious. The brand that gave us Just Do It qualifies that tagline, which always felt a bit broad, to include boundaries. You can't just do it without regard to the rules. As Knight clearly states, those rules are what level the playing field and protect fair competition. But rules have nothing to do with the passion in which you play within them. Richard Branson once told that business opportunities are like buses, there's always another one coming. Branson's Virgin has proven that from record labels to airlines, where there is a will there is a way. The door isn't always open, but sometimes it's ajar or the key is on the floor. All you must do is pick it up and turn the lock. Basically, the right environment for success ebbs and flows, but a keen business person is never passive. Anthony Robbins mentioned regarding the problems that every problem is a gift. Without problems we would not grow. The idea that one can go through life without conflict or issues arising is unrealistic. Some might dream of a frictionless ride through the world as the ideal journey, but without some form of pushback, growth is impossible. It is these problems that we face which build our character, engage our creativity and build humility. Warren Buffett once said that you only have to do a few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. The idea of right and wrong is a construct, of course, and it might feel overly simplistic to suggest that making the right choices will smooth the path forward, but the famous investor is merely noting with this business quote that avoiding a wrong decision is as important as making the right one. Avoiding bad decisions is aided, of course, with careful planning. Henry David Thoreau once quoted about success that success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Philosopher, naturalist, essayist, etc. Thoreau knew a thing or two about productivity. He wisely saw that those who are seeking success are more likely romanticizing the idea and not doing the hard, practical work necessary to achieve it. Anais Nin once mentioned that and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Nin was no stranger to the creative act. As a writer, she had to take pen to paper or her stories would remain phantoms in her mind. It is safer to keep these ideas to oneself. There's no rejection or criticism that way, but there's also no way to hone one's skills and produce something of value. Seth Godin once said that there's no shortage of remarkable ideas, what's missing is the will to execute them. Writer and former .com businessman, Godin is saying that talk is cheap, but in a nicer way. Yes, ideas are a dime a dozen, but the real meat on those bones comes from trying to realize them. It is only then that the problems show up and the real work of resolving them starts. G.K. Chesterton once mentioned that I owe my success to having listened respectfully to the very best advice, and then going away and doing the exact opposite. Chesterton, a writer of paradoxical stories, is the contrarian on our list. He speaks for the pig-headed and visionary alike. Sometimes buck the conventional wisdom. The hard part is knowing whether you're acting out of conviction for your ideals or if you're just being deluded by ego. Susan Butcher once quoted that I don't know the word quit. Either I never did, or I have abolished it. She's not being literal, but rather exaggerating to make a point. There comes a time in everyone's life where the idea of just throwing in the towel is attractive. You're exhausted. the obstacles feel insurmountable, but those who can reject the idea of quitting and tap an unforeseen reservoir are usually those who cross the finish line.